and this is a video blog for subject specialist pedagogy for the postgraduate diploma in education and training. I'd like to talk today about the importance of being an innovative practitioner. I've also prepared a Nearpod for visual on this vlog. So this is vlog 5, which you can find on my WordPress account, and I will be showing you a link to that later on. So the introduction in relation to the importance of being an innovative practitioner. So what I really aim to do in this video blog is to reflect on my role as an innovative teacher in my specialist field. My specialist field is health and social care in further education and counselling psychology. So I aim to approach this from the perspective of reflecting on Professional Standard 15 for teaching standards, which is to promote the benefits of technology and support learners in its use. So this reflection, for this I'll be using Brookfield's lenses to carry out the reflection and to consider my role as an innovative teacher from the 4 critical lenses in that model. So the issue under consideration is pertaining to the use of IT technology, and that's in my efforts to become an innovative teacher within health and social care. So that's the issue that we'll be exploring. So if we look at this from lens 1 of Brookfield's, which is my viewpoint, I view that the use of technology is imperative in supporting my future practice as an innovative teacher. It's the way of the world today, and all the young people are very up to the minute with the technology that's out there that's available. And it can be considered alongside, I feel, student-centred pedagogy in terms of the learners being able to progress independently and at their own pace. Certainly within my teaching practice at the moment, when delivering to the 16 to 18-year-old groups, the use of IT enables the learners to become more active and more responsible for their own learning. So I've attempted to utilise new innovative technology practices recently in my lessons following this module. So I've used things like the Kahoot quizzes, excuse me, and Prezzies to support learning. And I found that really my role changed. I've been experimenting a little bit with IT. I became more of a facilitator of the students' learning rather than the instructor taking centre stage and being at the front of the class. What I also found was that this was very useful in motivating and engaging the learners, and very advantageous on a behavioural front, as the learners were able to have their phones close at hand quite often throughout the lessons to be able to access the technology. They were motivated, they were engaged, and quite excited by this different use of technology in the lessons, really. So whilst this is relatively new to me within my practice, and something I've possibly, as a self-confessed technophobe, shied away from previously, with this experimenting and the use of it within the classroom, I can already see the benefits the use of IT could lead to, certainly in relation to innovation and learning advancement. So the second, and it was a very positive experience. The second part of the reflection focuses on the student's viewpoint, and that's the second lens. So, as I've just noted, I've recently utilise new and innovative ways to present knowledge within the lessons for the 16 to 18 group. And I noticed that this appeared to result in an altered dynamic to the classroom, which I sensed as being excitement and enjoyment at the way the material was being presented. I certainly consider that the learners enjoyed taking much more of an active role in their own learning experience, and I aim to gain feedback from the students to inform my future practice in this regard. And this will be done also through an innovative resource, either through SurveyMonkey or through an online questionnaire, anonymous questionnaire, so I can gain that feedback and hopefully develop my practice. The Kahoot quiz I found was a quick, efficient use of technology as an assessment method, and it quickly helped me to see which areas I needed to go over again, which learning I perhaps needed to consolidate, and which concepts we needed to revisit, and also to assess who may need some one-to-one support within the classroom. Obviously, one of the downsides of this is everybody needs to have that technology, particularly if we're going to use it as an individualised assessment process. But it's certainly very useful as a learning tool and a different way to consolidate knowledge, really. So I've also recently started to use Moodle, which is the college's electronic platform for learning materials. And again, I find this particularly useful for learners who've maybe missed lessons, for learners when they're coming up to assignment time, to be able to go back and review lessons in PowerPoint format or Prezi format, or to review the actual learning content of a lesson. And what I aim to do in the future is to be able to utilise screencast-o-matic such as this, or a video blog, to actually do an online tutorial, because I know it's something I found useful as a student in the past, being able to stop, rewind, go back and revisit essential information that I need for my assignment. So I'm going to try that out, and hopefully that will assist the learners further. So the third part of this reflective practice considers the viewpoint of my colleagues and fellow professionals within further education, many of whom have been in their role for a number of years. So the vast majority of my colleagues appear to view new technological innovative practices as something else for them to learn, perhaps a challenge to their role and an additional drain on their very precious time. Those who are IT proficient seem to welcome the whole idea of innovative practice and view it as an opportunity to join the digitalised modern way of working, engage with the students. However, I view that additional support, training and an investment focus really on new innovative ways of teaching and learning, incorporating IT initiatives, needs to become visible within the FE sector, and this is really to support any real change to take place and to enable practitioners to see the long-term benefits of this way of working. At the moment, many are not skilled in this area, and it's fantastic that it's part of the teacher training programs now. But I think really, in truth, that my colleagues who took their teacher training several years ago are perhaps too weighed down with providing measurements, teaching, recording information on computer systems and providing statistical analysis to have the time to devote to any real innovative practices and meaningfully engage with that. So there does need to be that kind of commitment, I think, and that investment focus on this if we're really going to meaningfully implement it. So I'm hopeful that that can change and that a real commitment to innovative practice and more incorporation of IT into teaching and learning can take place in the future when we can actually look back and see the proven benefits really. There's some advantages on here and some disadvantages, some of which I've just gone through really. The disadvantages, it's viewed potentially as something else to learn, a time drain, existing professionals are maybe not as skilled as they need to be, and they want to see the benefits. They want to see that if we're going to spend time on this, we need to see what are the proven benefits. So we need to see research on that, we need to see how that's benefiting in practical ways. So the fourth part of the reflective practice focuses on the views expressed in educational literature. My findings are that there appears to be little cause and effect evidence of increased outcomes of progression or efficiency in relation to innovative practice from a technological stance. I've looked at researchers such as Whitworth, Burson, 2003, Robinson, 2007, and tried to look really for more up-to-date research out there, because what I'm finding, although it's been a limited study, is I'm finding very little empirical research to justify the use of technology. And surprisingly, as I stated, I've struggled to find more up-to-date research. However, it stands to reason that in order to keep up with the learners, particularly the younger students, that it's important that we as educators, as teachers, are at the forefront in education with these technological advancements. From my perspective, I don't think we're quite there yet, either in terms of educating the learners who require upskilling in how to actually use the digital technology, or in relation to finding the funding and resources to support truly innovative learning methods. If I look at this from the perspective of the younger learners on the health and social care programmes, then it must be stated that many of these learners do have socio-economic issues, and I think we need to be careful that we don't exclude these groups who may not have access to mobile phones and laptops and tablets and digital technological devices. So when using innovative approaches such as the Kahoot quiz in lessons, I was quite mindful that some of the learners wouldn't have a smartphone, and as such they grouped together to ensure it wouldn't be problematic. But that did really highlight to me the potential exclusion issues which could arise from using innovative approaches which do incorporate digital technology only into the classroom or into distance learning. So my overall findings and recommendations are that innovative approaches using digital technology can empower learners to have more control over their learning, but we do have a way to go. As noted in the BELTAG report, ideally the focus of teaching and learning should be on the overall outcomes rather than the measurements and control of the learning process. And I appreciate that this ideology, and really view that this could facilitate more creativity in the learning process and enablement of discovery-based learning methods which could use digital technology but not necessarily have to. But in my limited experience, it would appear that in reality Ofsted inspections are measuring teaching and learning and reducing this down into statistical measurements, which leaves little time for the deep learning maybe gained during the imaginative journeys of discovery. So I think if innovative teaching and learning environments and teachers are ever going to really be realised within further education, then funding systems need to incorporate new processes which encourage the adoption of these progressive concepts. Please find my references attached here. Thank you for listening, and should you have any comments, please feel free to post to me. Thank you.